So let's go ahead and take a look at section 12.7, which is especially relevant if you're coming from a language like C or Java, and you must think that we're all mad. We've got functions, and they're taking in things, but we don't have type checking, so we don't know. So you can pass in anything for anything. You want a string, but you want a string, but there's nothing to prevent me from passing it a number. It's madness. So there is something called type notation, which is pretty cool. Right, I'm going to pull it from over here. Duplicate message, right? We've got over here, returns a string containing 2 copies of message, right? So if I were to say duplicate or print duplicate, let's go with Jello. It'll do Jello Jello, right? Because we've got duplicates a string, but there's not, even though it says returns a string containing 2 copies of message, and even though we'd like message to be a string, there's nothing stopping me from putting in 7 and getting 14 back. However, I can let the user know, or at least I can let my fellow programmers know what I want with my function. And this is a completely optional feature. So here is what that looks like. So this is just a bit of annotation here saying, hey, I've got a message here. This is a message of, it's expecting a string, and it's going to return something of type string. And so now duplicate, I'm going to call it, and ooh, look at that. It says message is a string, str. Anything that comes after, by the way, whatever comes after this colon is or rather, the type that comes after the colon is ignored by the Python interpreter. So it knows, it basically doesn't pay attention. Python doesn't pay attention to it. So I could say Jello again. Oh, right, I have to print it, of course. Jello Jello. So, still works. Also, but again, there's nothing really prohibiting me from doing this still. 14. Right? There's nothing that prohibits me from doing it. It's a politeness thing. A thing that helps with when we're creating documentation. So if you see that, so you don't have to write this, but if you see this, now you know what it is. Here is another function, by the way, just to show you how it works with 2 variables. Adding. Here we're adding an x, which is an integer, and y, which is an integer, and we're returning another integer. We're combining them together. Right? So that's really cool. It's a really nice feature. It helps the user know what to expect. That's something really useful.